Welcome back to another episode of the Self Development with Tactics podcast. Can I get my whole face onto here? It seems so. Yet again, another sort of, how do you call it? Well, anyway, another episode, another day, another episode. Today I'm willing to talk about expectations. Yet again, because of the daily quote by, I think it is brainquotes.com. I never ever quite know, but it is the first site that pops up when you are typing in quote of the day. And you're probably also going to find it for the 26th of October, which is today, which was something of, you. Maybe I can recall it. The heart of someone else is always going to be a dark forest, no matter how close your heart was to this one. And as I thought about it, it was like, of course, there are quite some people that I have known for quite a bit, but still I cannot, and I think I will never know them fully. It is just not quite possible. There's always going to be certain things that, first of all, this person is not aware of, like blind spots. And on the other hand, we all have our secrets, we all have our things that we're just not talking about, whether it is an actual secret or whether we just don't think it is important to talk about these things. So fully knowing somebody is, I guess, never going to be possible. Like fully 100%, it's just not the case, especially also because people change and we change our opinions on certain things and whatnot. And this led me to expectations, expecting somebody to act in a certain way because you think you know this person so well, and then being like, oh, what's happening now, what is going on. I think this and many other things have to do with expectations and expecting some people to do X, Y, or C, and maybe even expecting oneself to do X, Y, and C, or many more things actually. But it is strange. Of course, it makes sense to have expectations. Of course, it makes sense to to think that I know a person quite well, so I assume that this person is going to react in this, that, or the other way, or I assume that this person is going to do this, that, or the other thing. And so when this not happens, of course I might think like, okay, do I even know this person? What is going on? And maybe actually feel bad about this situation or whatever. But we don't fully know, and we're not fully in control, and it also leads me to negative visualization, which is, I don't want to say it is rooted in Stoicism, but, it's also talked about in Stoicism, to clearly visualize something bad happening so that when it does happen, you are prepared. And when it does happen, you can do something about it because you have already visualized it, you already thought about it, you already had it in mind, quite literally. I think it is a good exercise for many things, many things. Don't want to say all of these things, I don't want to say all of these negative, quote unquote negative experiences that one might have, but I might visualize being alone, completely alone, not having anybody, no friends, no family, no nothing. So what would I do, What would I try to do? How would I act? How would I act in reality, and what would be ideal? And many more things. I believe it is worthwhile, maybe also journaling about it, writing it down to really clarify your thoughts around this, to make sure that when this or something similar happens, you are prepared. This obviously, well, maybe not necessarily obviously, but this should be done with caution, I think, when you're always thinking about those negative things happening. I wouldn't also say that this is good for one, always living in this negative space and always expecting something negative to happen, even though it's just preparing yourself for when it comes. It might also lead to expecting something bad to happen, maybe even wishing something bad to happen so that it kind of pays off. I can also see that, but still, one could really leverage that, and one could also challenge one's expectations and challenge one's thoughts around various different things. I feel like that less expectations make a better life, because you are very seldomly going to be mad or sad or whatever about your actions or somebody else's actions. You, for yourself and your own expectations and whatever you're doing, you can only do so much. You can only just do what you can to be prepared for whatever situation you're facing, whether it is a test, an exam, or some life-changing events or whatever. When it comes to other people, you can't do shit. Nothing to be done here. But having too many expectations isn't good either. Maybe even too little as well. But still, I think that being maybe not being fully on one side, maybe not being fully being able to adapt. I think this is what I'm searching for, being able to adapt, something human beings are actually relatively good at, adapting and being able to adapt to the situation that you're facing. And I don't know, things happen. Of course, one gets mad, of course, one gets sad, but in the end, you can't do only so much. So, my thought, the thing that I want to spread here is challenge your expectations, challenge your thoughts, maybe lessen your expectations, or maybe have more expectations. Try to visualize life-changing things happening, and maybe write it down. I think writing it down would make sense. Try to work on that and work on your response. This can actually be done with various things. Also talking to a certain person. What happens when this person says no? What happens when this person says yes? What would you do? How would you act? What would you say? Of course, things might come differently. This person might say things in a different way, in a different tone, yada, yada, yada. But still, maybe try it. I think it is interesting. As I said, well, I don't want to say it is from Stoicism, but I know it because of Stoicism. So maybe also look into that niche and what people there are saying. What else? Fear setting from Tim Ferriss might also be useful to integrate into that, something else related. Maybe things about friendship, and maybe a bit of meditation on not being able to know anyone fully, but to a really high degree, thinking about that, and meditating on these thoughts. And up until then, gonna see you the next time. So